There's a kind of open secret over here in the Canton-Potsdam, Colton area of St. Lawrence County. We have one of the best cross-country ski areas in the North Country. Perfectly groomed tracks, skating tracks too, space for snowshoers, all among towering pines and rolling hills overlooking a lake. Perfect, right? And it's free too. The magic behind Higley Flow State Park on today's Story of the Day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Clarkson University, offering over 95 programs of study with campuses in the Hudson Valley, Central, and Northern New York. More at clarkson.edu.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Friday, February 6th. First up, New York State's deadline to change party status is coming up soon, on Saturday, February 14th. That matters to many voters because the North Country will have some high-stakes primaries this year. Our news intern Richard Haller has the details.
If you want to vote for a candidate in this year's primary election, you need to be registered with their party. St. Lawrence County Election Commissioner Jenny Bacon said people can do this by filling out an election form online from their county's website or through the DMV.
Our office will be open 9 to 5 for in-person, but it has to be delivered. It has to be here by 5 o'clock on the 14th. It isn't like postmark. So if somebody's going to be mailing it, we just suggest doing that sooner than later. So the mail has been taking some time to get here.
If you plan on registering through the DMV, that'll have to be before 2 p.m. on the 13th. DMVs in New York will be closed from then until the 17th for a system upgrade. Bacon says that this early in the year, primary elections aren't on everyone's mind, but races aren't set because candidates can still get on the ballot.
The problem is a lot of times people wait to see what the primaries are going to be to decide to change their party, and at that point it's too late.
Representative Elise Stefanik dropped out of the governor's race and also announced she is not running for re-election in New York's 21st district. This means that there is a void for Congress in the North Country, with several Republican and Democratic candidates running to replace her. Anthony Constantino and Assemblyman Robert Smolin have announced their candidacy and are running against each other for the Republican nomination. Constantino is the CEO of Sticker Mule, a sticker and merch company, and has been self-funding his campaign. Smolin is an assemblyman who represents portions of the Adirondacks. On the Democratic side, Lisbon native and dairy farmer Blake Gendabine is competing for the nomination with South Glens Falls native Dylan Hewitt and Stuart Amorell, a restaurant owner in Lake Placid. Over in New York's 24th district, which includes portions of Jefferson County, several Democratic candidates are running to replace Republican incumbent Claudia Tenney. Those include Alyssa Ellman and Diana Kastenbaum. There could also be many contested primaries on the state and county levels. The deadline to change party affiliation is February 14. The primaries are in June. For North Country Public Radio, I'm Richard Haller in Canton.
A small state park just outside the Adirondack Blue Line has become an unlikely home to some of the best cross-country skiing in the North Country. Higley Flow State Park features 14 miles of trail groomed almost daily to perfection. The secret sauce? A volunteer group called the Friends of Higley Flow State Park. Amy Feiereisel reports.
It's a snowy January morning at the Higley Flow Sled Shed, basically a big garage for snowmobiles and drags. 70-year-old Joe Selleck has been grooming ski trails here for a few years now. He says it's not a small job.
Depends on the weather and what's going on. Sometimes you can be in here at 8 o'clock and be done by noon.
Other days could look like a 6 or 7 hour shift. Selleck says doing it in pairs is best.
Really should have 2 people with radios in case one gets in trouble and the other one can be there. So we get in trouble a couple of times, both of us.
I thought there were barriers to it. You had to have some kind of license. But no, they'll let anybody on these machines.
Selleck's partner this morning is 57-year-old Hugo Adaman of Potsdam. He started grooming just last year. Before we head out, the pair checks gas and oil levels on our chosen snowmobile.
And he's going to open that up.
The cowl comes up, and it looks like
You're okay.
we're 3/4 full or not better.
All right.
So that's great. There we go.
I head out with Adaman onto the trails. The scene is pure winter wonderland. Snow frosting the trees, white and green as far as the eye can see. But Adaman is all focus.
I tend to be overthink this stuff, and so I'm constantly like watching the sled and the snow and the edges of the trail.
It's a slightly warm day, hovering just under freezing. We're not trying to pack the snow down, just reset some of the ski tracks.
Now we're going to put the track back down because we're going to enter into the woods.
Oh yeah, we're going through, right through some branches. Most of the volunteer groomers, there are 10 veterans and 8 newbies this winter, are longtime Higley skiers. It's a way to give back, says Adaman. But this, plenty of people to share the grooming work, is pretty new. For decades, just 2 people, Ed and Judy Fior, groomed the trails at Higley. They started around 1993 because, well, they like to ski, says Ed.
Could be downhill, could be cross country, and we just love doing it, and we saw potential for people to have a good time.
The Fiors live just a few minutes away from Higley Flow. They started by grooming a ski track using loaned St. Lawrence University equipment. But it was a bit unwieldy, says Judy.
About 3 years later, we purchased recreational snowmobiles for ourselves with the idea of grooming with those.
Then they built their own groomer. That's the thing that imprints ski tracks into snow. They welded it, molded plastic for the drag, even made their own track set out of 2x4s. The Fiors also started building ski trails in the Higley Flow woods. Before, there was just skiing on the existing park roads. And people like Tom French noticed.
I was a teacher in Messina, and I would come home, I'd rush home, grab my skis, and run up here almost every day. And I'd do Warmbrook and Old Pine.
One day, former park supervisor John Wood approached French.
He obviously saw that I was there a lot, and when he happened upon me in the woods, he was like, "We'd like to start a friends group. Will you help?"
In 2004, the Friends of Higley Flow was formed with about 10 members. Nonprofit status allowed them to apply for grants, but for a long time, members basically just paid for the gas for Ed and Judy's snowmobiles. But the group grew, especially as it worked to build a warming hut to replace a dilapidated nature center. That was especially important to Judy because she noticed that with no facilities, it was almost exclusively men using the trails. She wanted kids and families to be able to ski too.
And that was one of the thoughts for the lodge was if we can get this and we can get somewhere where people can come in and get warm, nice bathrooms for them to come into, we're going to grow the population of skiers. We're going to be able to service more people and have them enjoy it.
That lodge was finished in 2014. And as Judy had hoped, ski visitors increased. So did members of the Friends group. And people started volunteering to shepherd other projects, things like night skiing, classes for kids and adults, equipment rentals, a yearly photo contest, you name it. Then the COVID-19 pandemic hit. Ed Fior says use of the ski trails exploded.
We didn't know whether it would go to nobody or it would be everybody. It was everybody.
He says there were days when they counted a total of hundreds of cars in the parking lot.
And we went, holy mackerel.
It wasn't long after that Ed and Judy and Tom French, who had started grooming when he retired, realized they needed to recruit more help.
It's gotten big, and it's more work than 2 people can handle. And last year we had a real expansion. So last year we had 12 people.
This year, another 8 folks stepped forward. Tom is working on training them all. Because of his health, Ed has stopped grooming. But Judy is still out on the trails several times a week. She's proud of the work the newcomers are doing, which is truly on par with privately run ski areas in the region.
Looking at the way it's been groomed, I've never seen it look as good as it does in terms of every little cutoff was groomed. Everything was track set.
Is that it? Okay. All right, I'm coming up.
Back at the sled shed, Higley Flow Park supervisor Henry Sieg is watching the volunteers work on a snowmobile. He's had a front row seat to the Friends volunteer work over the years.
And as far as the Friends group goes in grooming, they spend more time out there than I would, and I get paid.
But that's the beauty of volunteerism here, says Hugo Adaman.
It's remarkable to exist because, like I said, we're a small little park in northern New York, and if we didn't have volunteer efforts, then this kind of resource wouldn't be available.
The work is the reward.
Okay. Yeah, you can for me. Here we go.
Amy Feiereisel, North Country Public Radio at Higley Flow State Park in Colton.
Great photos of Higley on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by I Am Snow Angel of Lake Placid and Martha Gallagher of Keene. Have a great weekend. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.